Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sebastian, and welcome you guys to another episode of the DREAMERSPRO show. We cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things. And now we see today we have a very serious show for you guys. Before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel here. Also, if you're not following the DREAMERSPRO podcast, we have that pin in the comments below. Let me get into this topic here. As you guys know, there's a whirlwind, a tornado surrounding Stephen A. Smith right now because of an exchange that took place 2 days ago on ESPN First Take with Monica McNutt, Shannon Sharpe, and Molly Karam. They were discussing Caitlin Clark. Started off about the cheap shot that she received during the game that she was playing. And then the conversation started to evolve into different areas. Now, I want to give you guys the basic crux of what they were discussing. I'm sure you guys know, but I want to distill it so we could relate it properly to what we're going to get into today. So basically, one, they were talking about whether or not that was a dirty play. They established that. Then they got into the aspect of what could be the motivation for some of these players to be singling her out. And that's where the conversation started to go in different directions, where Monica McNutt essentially took the standpoint of, this is just basic standard procedure for rookie hazing, and these are just players being competitive. Stephen A. Smith looked at it at the standpoint that, hey, maybe there may be some jealousy that exists here from other players, and it's natural because given the fact that these players have been in the WNBA, laying the groundwork, to use his language, and then someone new comes in and just becomes the golden child, and it's the hottest thing and bringing in all these ratings. A natural tendency could be jealousy, right? Like, hey, what about us, right? So he spoke about it from that standpoint, and that's when they started to argue. And then towards the tail end of it, she then says, Stephen A. Smith, personally, you could have been doing a better job by covering the WNBA 3 years ago. And that's when, Stephen A. Smith just damn near fell out of his chair. Then he had to go do a response show. And then Monica McNutt went on Nightcap to kind of clarify her positions with Shannon Sharpe and Chad Johnson. So what happened this morning, I was just scrolling through the internet and I came across a clip from the Dan Le Batard show with Stu Gatz and some other people. They have a lot of panelists on their show, so I didn't know who all the people were. But essentially what happened was they were reacting to the exchange that all of us are reacting to that took place between Stephen A. Smith and Monica McNutt. Now, here's what surprised me. In this soundbite that we're getting ready to play for you, the default position here was that Stephen A. Smith was wrong. The female contributor in this audio was also basically bashing men for not really knowing what the hell they're doing in terms of how they cover sports, women's sports. And then some of the some of her male counterparts were basically piling on, like, yeah, you're right. Me and men, we got to do better and blah, blah. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, wait a minute. This is exposing a disturbing dichotomy that's taking place in the United States right now. And this is something that I want to tackle in today's show. But before we even get into this exchange here, this video is brought to you by our sponsor, PrizePicks, which is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. PrizePicks is really simple. Instead of just selecting a team, you just select two or more players, pick more or less their projected stats, and then you place your entry. For example, this week, I'm selecting two entries. Stephen Curry for more than 25 points, and then I got Anthony Davis for more than 2 blocks, and Damian Lillard for more than 4 3-pointers made. PrizePicks is also the only daily sports platform with an injury insurance policy. So for example, if you have a player who gets injured in the first half and doesn't return to the second half, that player gets automatically rebooted. What I also love about PrizePicks is that it offers weekly promotions like Taco Tuesdays. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value. So go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit matchup up to $100. That's go to prizepicks.com/CLNS, use code CLNS for a first deposit match of up to $100. And remember, whenever you support this sponsor, you're supporting this channel. Thank you. So what we want to do now is we want to play this audio for you guys. I want you guys to please listen to it in its entirety so you gain the full context of what we're going to talk about when we come back. So take a listen to them here.
We're going to discuss Caitlin Clark today. They were still talking about it on SportsCenter yesterday at like 5 o'clock. Granted, there's been another Fever game since this game happened.
It's unbelievable.
And they're still talking about just this foul getting upgraded to a flagrant one. And the only reason I wanted to bring it up is because yesterday Pat McAfee called Caitlin Clark a white on ESPN and then had to apologize for it. And Stephen A. Smith also embarrassed himself on First Take, arguing with Monica McNutt. So like two of ESPN's top talent just completely embarrassed themselves talking about women's sports, a league that they're partnered with at ESPN, and nothing's going to happen. Like they're both just going to like, it's fine, going to get away with it and nothing really matters. And I find that like mind-boggling.
Wasn't Stephen A. Smith kind of doing like stats, like we talk more about the WNBA than every other show? Like who cares? But you're not talking about it well.
Well, Stephen A. also then doubled down on his podcast, which he basically said, you only know who Monica McNutt is because of me, because I put her on First Take.
I handpicked the roster, and you. Wow.
He made it a lot worse. McAfee tried to argue that he said it complimentary. It's a strange defense for himself. He tried to say well, I meant it as a compliment, and then like issued an apology, and then later on WWE Raw called a wrestler a white.
Jess,
son of a. Sorry.
Jess, it's funny because we've been discussing men's sports for 50 years now on the radio. 50 years, and we're still terrible at it. And so now we're discussing women's sports. And you expect, I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying it's going to take a minute. We're not doing it well. And I'm confused. Have men never watched women's sports before? Because Caitlin Clark came in with all this fanfare, deserved, by the way. But LeBron went through this. Michael Jordan went through it. Caleb Williams is about to go through it. People are going to take their shots. They're going to say, hey, we're pretty good over here as well. It's not just about Caitlin Clark. And she's going through some of those rookie lumps that all the great players go through. Women are competitive. Is that surprising to men?
I guess so. I mean, I'm with you, guys. Like I played sports growing up, and it was super physical. There would be fights sometimes. There would be like really intense competition, and that's part of any sport, and not just the WNBA. Any sport. I'm sure when you coached your daughter's lacrosse team and are watching her play at Northwestern, lacrosse is one of the most physical sports there is. There's hard fouls all the time. It's just like very weird how this has become a conversation about like having to protect Caitlin Clark, who also dishes it out too. That's part of her game. That's a reason why people like her, is because she's so tough. She was a tough player in college, and she dished it out. And I'm not saying that Kennedy Carter should have done this. Obviously, I said yesterday, it should have been called a flagrant on the spot, and I don't think this entire backlash happens if the refs just don't miss that call. But it's so weird how like mainstream sports has been covering this for like 3 days. And also when it goes to Stephen A. Smith, all he had to do was say like, you're right, like we'll do better. And I think that whole conversation like doesn't happen. Like it doesn't require a lot for men who have been covering sports for a long time that are now catching up to the popularity of women's sports just to say like, you're right, like we're learning too. Like
that's what we need to do.
Figure it out.
So you heard what was said there. Folks, there's a serious problem that exists in the United States. Speaking as an American who hasn't lived in the States for some years now, but will be returning next year, as someone that has been following the evolution of society in the United States over the last 3 to 5 years, I've noticed a plethora of disturbing trends. And one of them that I'm noticing is this new trend of essentially demonizing men. I've also noticed from afar that it is perfectly okay to scold men in public, trash them, and basically define how men should behave and act and think and speak. And everyone should be on board with it. Here's how I'm processing this entire situation here as it pertains to this audio. First of all, if you listen to how comfortable that female contributor was in terms of talking about men, it bothered me. Because number one, she was quite dismissive. Number two, she was painting with a broad brush, and this is something that Monica McNutt and others like Carrie Champion were accusing Stephen A. Smith of. but they don't see it when they did it. The other thing I noticed was Stugatz and others who were then agreeing with her without any pushback. No one in that room had a varying opinion. No one. It's almost as if to say, whatever she says, we need to agree with it. That's a problem. It is a serious problem. And I don't believe you can build a healthy, thriving society where you prop up one group and you demonize the other group. In this case, we're talking about men. And some people these days seem to have a fetish for this. They really seem to get off on it. What I'm gaining from this entire situation is that it seems like everyone is trying to get Stephen A. Smith to the default position of he was wrong. He is wrong by simply using the word jealous or jealousy. And now they're trying to weaponize the word jealousy because it was attributed to women. But whenever we talk about male, what's the word? Is it toxic masculinity and all of that? There's no issue. Because after all, we're using it to describe a behavior and a sensibility. So when we talk about men in this way, no one should take any issue with it. And if you guys don't see a problem with that, you're part of the problem. I'm noticing this attack on men, and I think it's disgusting. Sorry to say, I'm not going to go. There are people that have commented on some of the shows that we produce, and they seem to be shocked. They're like in awe. Like, you're going to take this position? Yeah. Yeah, I think I am. Yeah, I think I don't want to be a part of this train of people now poo-pooing on men. I don't want to be a part of it. Do you know why? Because I'm a man. And I don't understand why I would take a position that would hurt me and others like me. Why would I do that? You certainly wouldn't. You certainly wouldn't. All of these women, Jamel Hill, Carrie Champion, Monica McNutt, coming after Stephen A. Smith. Carrie Champion, we produced a show about it yesterday talking about we don't like the word jealousy. Then she says in the same soundbite, could there be an element of jealousy? Well, sure. So what are you talking about? You're taking exception with what exactly? What is the thing you're actually disputing here? This is a sickening issue that exists in the United States. And I'm not coming off of my position. I don't like that it's become commonplace to bash men. I think it's disgusting. I think the people that are promoting this, something is wrong with you. And I think you guys are the ones that are destroying society. If I'm being honest with you. I think you people are the ones that are promoting families being ripped apart because you have made it now your business to say that men are all bad and women are all good. And whatever women say is 100% correct. And whatever men say that women disagree with, they need to apologize for it. I'm going to call bullshit on all of that. And whoever this offends, you shall be offended. Because I'm not here to agree with these people. What are they talking about? They didn't cover sports the right way. Can we be specifically? What specifically are you referring to? What is it that he said that was wrong? What is it that he said that was wrong? What if Stephen A. Smith said, "Hey, listen, I don't think women should be talking about covering sports because they don't know how to approach men and deal with men." Then what would people be saying? He's a gatekeeper. He's trying to lock women out from gaining certain positions. The fact of the matter is, I've seen Stephen A. Smith feature a plethora of women on his show. I've seen it. I have seen it. We all have seen it. And that's the reason he was taken aback. The reason he brought up Jamel Hill and Monica, the reason he brought them up is because, listen, he has a major platform. It's been number one for the last 12 years, as he always says. So if he brings you on his show, he's giving you a benefit. This is the bloody reality. It ain't got nothing to do with no king, but it's the truth. Back in the day, it was the Oprah Winfrey show. If you had a book and Oprah put your book in the book club, you were basically going to be a bestseller. It is the bloody reality. It has nothing to do with the power of a man and upplay. It has nothing to do with that. It is the truth. When you go on a big platform, you will ultimately become elevated. That is the fact. And if it bothers you, then maybe you don't need to go on that platform. But this attack on men, I find it to be disgusting. I really, really do. And I think you people that promote this are the people that are destroying the United States. Yes, that's exactly what I believe. I believe if you're predisposed to always feel like men are wrong and men need to constantly apologize and then turn around and ask men to patronize the product, help you grow the brand, then something is wrong with you. Where do you get off attacking men like this and then at the very end ask them to help grow the brand of women's sports? Where do you get off? What type of entitlement is that? If men are so bad, then do it without them. The fact of the matter is the NBA subsidizes the WNBA. And the NBA is a league that is made up of men. So men can't be all that bad, can they? Is this what we're teaching our kids and all of this, that men are horrible? So you telling me as a father of a young daughter, I'm going to have some jackasses running around on TV that are going to try to demonize men to my daughter so she can look at people like me and say, oh, these people are useless? No, y'all are the problem. You guys are the problem. And I don't know what political group that is doing this, but whatever the political group is, I want no business to do with them. Absolutely none. But the people that have created this climate in the United States to make it okay to demonize and bash men on a daily basis, to the point where now you have men like these guys that want the Dan Le Batard show, who showed absolutely zero testicular fortitude to push back on any of those points that lady was making, and thought that it was okay to just basically go along with whatever point she was making. You guys are part of the problem, and I called it out. And if you're going to unsubscribe from the platform, so bloody be it. I am not here to destroy any group. But as a man, I am offended. I am offended that these people are ganging up on Stephen A. Smith when he did nothing wrong. All he said was he perceived some jealousy. And when we talk about jealousy as it pertains to men, I never see any of you clowns jumping up and saying, well, you shouldn't say that about men. Men are much more complex than that. The issues with Shaq and Kobe, there was no jealousy. You need to take that back. Whenever we talk about the dichotomy between Kyrie Irving and LeBron James, we need to go back and relitigate and go through all of the words that we use. The fact of the matter is you can trash men on television all day long and ain't nobody gonna say a mumbling word. And men, simping ass men, and some women will go along with it and laugh with it. When they were calling Russell Westbrook a blood-sucking vampire, wasn't Ramona Shelburne on that panel? Why didn't she stop the proceedings and say, wait a minute, this is a man with children, and y'all, we up here gonna let Dave McMenamin call him a blood-sucking vampire? They were all laughing. When Kendrick Perkins, who now all of a sudden wants to be the biggest simp in sports media, turns around and was saying Kyrie Irving was dumb, and if you put a bird in his brain and he flies around backwards, the bird will fly around backward. Now all of a sudden Kendrick Perkins wants to be sensitive about the language we use when we're describing figures in sports? Are you kidding me? What kind of pandering bull is this? And it's all aimed at destroying men, and I want no part of it. I want no part of it. Y'all, the lot of you are a bunch of bloody hypocrites. A bunch of bloody hypocrites. You would throw your own gender into the trash just to sit up there and twerk it up for another that will still throw you in the trash. Shows the amount of self-respect you have for yourself. I'm absolutely disgusted by this. Totally. This attack on men, I want no part of it. And that's exactly how I feel. If you feel a type of way, unsubscribe. These are my genuine feelings about this issue. Catch you guys on the next show. Peace.